Three, two, one. Preparing to live stream the meeting.
So that's how we knew it was a go.
And we're live. Hey guys, I'm Robbie Wilson, the conscious bartender, your spirit nerd and general dork.
I'm a whiskey greenhorn, learning anything and everything I can about alcohol, liquor, spirits, all that good stuff from these bozos.
And I'm the Northwest Whiskey Man, a collector, purveyor, and hoarder of all things whiskey.
Well, today we are going to be exploring Richard's arch nemesis. Yeah, it's tequila. Now, we figured we'd be kind of gentle on him because there was a possibility he was going to hurl when he saw this. So what we decided to taste is kind of, in my opinion, probably one of the best tequilas in the world. And it's also going to be closest to kind of what we've been tasting earlier in this meeting series. So we'll be tasting a sample of the Fuente Seca 11-year extra añejo tequila. So tequila is made from agave, has to be blue agave, has to come from the Jalisco range. There's more or less 5 different categories, I believe, right now for tequila. There is Blanco, which is unaged to 2 months old in age. There's Reposado, which is 3 months to 11 months aged in oak. And then there is an Añejo, which is 1 year and up. There's an Extra Añejo, which is 3 years and up. And then there's a Cristalino, it's called, which is a Añejo that has been then charcoal filtered, so the color has been stripped out.
Doesn't smell like tequila.
And is there anything that when you look at a bottle of tequila, you're like, oh, okay, that's good quality. What am I looking for?
Couple things. One, there is something called the NOM. It is N-O-M, or spelled N-O-M. And that is going to tell you exactly which distillery this tequila came from. And you can look that up on an app service or a website. The app is called tequilamatchmaker.com. The website, you can just look up NOM and you'll find out. That'll tell you where it's from. And you can learn a lot about that distillery. Certain distilleries kind of have unsatisfactory practices, and while others are super honest and authentic. Second, you want 100% agave. And third,
is there regulations that will say that it's 100% agave on the bottle?
So tequila is pretty much tied for first place in the most regulated spirit in the world. It is super regulated. There's a lot of things you can and cannot do.
Which is weird, because once you drink tequila, there's not a lot you won't do. You know what I mean?
I mean, fair.
It's kind of ironic. You know what I mean? All right. I'm going to say it, and everybody's going to be thinking, it smells like over-buttered French toast.
So with extra añejos, 9 times out of 10, you get to that 3 and 4 year mark, and it's overaged. It's what we all hate in the overaged spirit. But these guys can make an extra añejo that is truly unique.
That literally smells like no tequila I've ever smelled in my life, like at all, period.
So this is from NOM 1146. They have a couple of different brands of tequila. Fuente Seca is their top tier. They have one called like Tears of Urana or something like that. Don Fulano, and then another one, I forget what it's called. They have a bunch of other brands as well. But this one, when I was down there and got to taste this was truly one of the most amazing spirits in my life I've ever tasted.
That's I mean, again, it doesn't smell like tequila, but man, that's a pretty rich nose. Like there's a lot going on there. All right, here we go.
Mm-hmm.
Deep breath. I'm not sweating at all. Like, nope. Now, let me give a little backstory. I grew up near the border of Mexico. So my introduction to tequila was bottom shelf dive bar in Mexico tequila.
I.e. rot gut.
Like just horrible, like 10 shots of tequila were $4.
Would bars cut it or anything like that when you?
So here's the major loophole that kind of used to exist. It still exists, but not too many people really exploit it anymore. Tequila by law has to be bottled in Mexico, or else, and it has to be bottled in like Jalisco and come from the Jalisco region. If it doesn't, you can like misspell it, and you can still get away with it. But the biggest loophole is, I believe, if you ship it up to America, i.e., like Texas, and then you bottle it in Texas, you can still call it tequila, but it doesn't have to be 100% agave. You can cut it with a grain neutral spirit, or you can cut it with like sugarcane. And so you looked at like the old school, like cheap, I don't know, Tarantula or like, bottom tier Jose Cuervo. That's what they used to do.
So when they're cutting it with sugarcane, that's where you're going to get those nasty hangovers from.
I mean, I think it also had to do with like you see ones like Tequila Gold, they'd be using caramel coloring. And whenever you add sugar to something, you just increase the rate that your body processes it. And the best that I understand is basically your body needs water in order to process alcohol. And if you're just drinking alcohol and you're drinking water, you're fine. But as soon as you start to mess with that ratio and that rate, then that's when kind of you get fucked. So you're over processing it and you're needing more water than you're really drinking, but you're not feeling dehydrated until the next day. Of course, then there's just alcohol poisoning, which kind of more sounds like what Richard received. Hence why he has such a negative response to tequila, except for just right now where he just has mind blown.
All right, that's good. All right, I'll give it up. I wanted to hate on it, but that's good. You said this was $300 though.
The Fuente Seca ones are just like they come out once a year maybe. And the thing what he does that's so cool is there's so far that I've seen there is a 7-year, an 11-year, a 15-year, and a 21-year, I think. But he doesn't release like that set line. He releases what he wants to that year. And it's usually like some funky weird blend. It's unique. The 17-year from like 1 year is not going to be similar to a 17-year from another year. They're always one-offs.
That's delicious. That really is. Again, doesn't I mean, kind of tastes like tequila, but it almost tastes like it's been sitting in a sherry cask. But you said it was bourbon, correct?
No, this one is on wine casks.
Wine cask? Oh, there we go. So that would make sense.
Yeah, it's like French Chardonnay, I think.
That would make sense. It tastes like sherry cask.
Yeah. To me, like this is almost getting into like cognac world.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm hoping is now that we've tasted this, like we've kind of changed and altered Richard's mind, and so we can like eventually backtrack into the other ones.
Let's go slow. Let's stay in the $200 range.
Hold your hand, Richard. It's okay. We'll put the trash can right next to you.
No Dos Hombres tequila.
I haven't tried that mezcal yet.
It's got the aftertaste is really bitter though. That's the thing that's throwing me off a little bit. Not in a bad way. It's just it comes in so like it literally smells like French toast to me, and it comes in sweet, but then there's like a little bitter at the very back end, and I don't know if that's the age of it or the cask.
Maybe. This one, even though it's only sitting at I think it's like 41% alcohol, try some water in there. Just like stick your finger in your glass of water and drop a drop in there and check it out.
I'll have to go get water. I tried
the 21-year once, and I didn't really like it. I thought it was just too much, and then I put a drop of water in there, and I was like, "Oh, got it."
I want to get some water, guys. I'll be right back.
I don't know what to think about it because I can't describe it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like I can't put my finger on anything about it. So I'm like, do I like it or not? I mean, I like it. I don't dislike it. But it's, it's like, I can't pick out what I like about it.
For me, with especially like this one, once in a while you find spirits out in the world that just kind of surpass their boundaries and their categories. And this is one of them. and it just kind of is in a category all itself. And at the same time, like it's one of those things like it's so rich and there's so much going on that it takes a while to dissect everything that's going on.
Yeah, that water straight up changed to dark caramel. It's good. No, I like it better with the water. Yeah, it took that
Bitterness of,
bitter edge off the end of it. It's got a little heat to it.
agreed.
Not a Tennessee hug, but a little Mexico hug, right at the end.
Yeah. I just love the
And I was doing
language.
yard work all day, so I didn't even have any alcohol. So this is my first real pour today.
So what these guys are doing, they bought this old distillery a couple of years back, and it has like, I mean, they're putting out a ton of tequila, expensive and cheap stuff, and they're still only at like I think 75% of their maximum what they could do. They wound up buying such a huge distillery, but it's all wild fermentation, wild yeast in the air.
So they haven't been around long.
Not that long. Sergio, I think is his name, is a 5th or 6th generation agave farmer. And so kind of his background was more he would raise the agave and then sell them to the tequila distilleries. But eventually he just decided, why am I selling all my agave and letting someone else do it when I know the agave better than anyone?
Is all tequila the what do you call it? Open air
You have certain ones that like want to control that process down the line and have like a yeast strain that they've cultivated for hundreds of years. And then you have ones that want it to be like this terroir example. Herradura has a bunch of different fruit trees planted all over its property. And so the combination of all those fruit trees add the yeast specific to Herradura. Technically it's a wild fermentation, but they've made sure that that yeast has like a certain percentage of all these things in the air.
That makes sense.
It's a smart way of doing things. It's wild, but technically like they're cultivating the land around them so they can kind of control it. So yeah, what he does is he goes out into the farm or his agave fields and he literally instead of just going like this row is good or whatever, because most they've changed it now, but it used to be that you had to use mature agave, and mature had a little asterisk underneath it that said 6 to 8 year old agave. But he would just go on and say, no, I'm choosing it when it's ready. Each agave is my own child. And like, when it's ready, it's ready. Sometimes it's 6 years old. Sometimes it's 10 years old.
Decent size operation.
It's a huge operation. I mean, these things are the size of like a small car. So,
wow.
I mean, that's okay. Too much of that. They're not that big, but they're big. They're my torso. And you have to chop off all of these super fibrous stalks that look like a top of a pineapple.
Wow.
But you can't do that with a chainsaw. The chainsaw would just go dull in a second. So you have to use these giant like pitch axes kind of thing.
It's the same stuff when we were watching them make the mezcal, the video from the
same thing.
It's a very labor intensive process.
It's super.
No, I know Oregon had a problem getting tequila for like a year. Now, was that because of COVID or was that because of what's going on in Mexico, or do you know?
Right now, it's tough because of mostly COVID, I think is kind of the central thing, and then a bunch of issues have followed that. But just in general, it's tough to get stuff over the border. I feel like my guess is you ship all this stuff to a border and customs has to clear it. But of course, people in customs are all together and, near each other. And if COVID breaks out in the customs, then, how long do you have to shut down customs and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And then of course you just have a bunch of things getting backed up and getting through it. But,
because I remember the guy we had on from the guy that did the mezcal. He was saying, cartel issues were some problems at times too. So.
And I'm sure that happens too, but I think most of the bigger houses have kind of figured out a way to deal with that. And so with this one, they're kind of part of this collective, which is this place, Fortaleza. So Fortaleza is owned by this guy named Guillermo Souza. And so he's the 5th generation Souza, and he's kind of like a rock star there. Literally everyone knows him. But when he brings you down to see like Fortaleza Distillery, he doesn't just bring you to see his distillery. He brings you to all the ones that he thinks are worthy of your attention. And this is one of the ones that we got to go visit.
So how was it? I mean, you've been to regular, U.S. whiskey distilleries. How is the atmosphere different, like at a tequila one, or is it pretty much all the same?
I mean, it changes a lot. Some of them get really sciencey, and some of them get real traditional. I mean, so you go in there, and they're all huge. And back in the day, they used to be these, haciendas, these giant, massive plantations. And then the Spanish War happened, and they got broken up. So they're much smaller today than they were before. They're still pretty freaking massive. And you go in there, and first thing first, you have like these trucks are just coming in left and right and dropping these pinas, these giant agaves that have been all shaven off. And then you have people just carrying these things and then chopping them up into halves or quarters, throwing them in their oven, and then baking them in there. And then once they're done from there, they'll throw them into a pit where they either have like this big wheel, whether it be like a rubber wheel or a stone wheel, crushing it all. And then that juice gets squeezed into a place where it can ferment. And then from there, it gets distilled and then either aged or whatever. But it's pretty cool. It's not as, I feel like when I go to bourbon distilleries, it's very sterile.
Yeah.
It's very much like, here's the vats of, bourbon fermenting, and here's the stills, and here's the coming off the still, and here are the barrels, and like that's it. It's a much more organic process in a free flow place than in a tequila distillery usually.
Now, as a bartender, when you serve tequila, it's mostly mixed drinks, right? You're not usually serving tequila or shots.
So tequila is changing faster than any spirit I'm seeing right now. I think it's in a place I'm mildly terrified because of the demand of it being so high. But 10 years ago, it was shots or margaritas, and they wanted it with a salt rim and a lime. Now you have a growing population of people who just want to sip good tequila. You have a growing population who want cinnamon and orange on the rim. You have a growing population of people who want cool other kinds of cocktails, Manhattans or old fashions with tequila. It's a changing market.
Is that just people get bored of shots, or they feel that they've outgrown? Because you think of, when I think of tequila, you think of partiers more so than sippers.
I mean, so like the margarita was made
beyond that.
The margarita was invented in 1970 in Texas by an American bartender. It's a derivative of what's called a sidecar cocktail. Sidecar is cognac, lemon, and triple sec. Margarita is tequila, lime, and triple sec with salt on the rim, whereas the sidecar had sugar on the rim. So the best I think that we all understand it was this cocktail competition that was being held, and this guy used tequila for the first time, and it took off. But at the same time, tequila was marketed and sold to us as a party drink. And you think about like Patron engineered its bottle to have a bigger pour spout on it. So like the pour spouts wouldn't fit in there. And so you had to pour big shots. And it was just marketed as a club thing, premium club thing.
Now that was an intention to make sure that bars ran out faster.
Yeah, they had to pour through more.
That's brilliant. I didn't even realize that.
Super smart, but I mean, not necessarily safe, but like super smart to get your product going through their inventory. But that's how it was sold. It was sold as like this thing that you took a shot of it with salt and lime. That was what you do with shitty tequila. It's not what you do with good stuff. And here Patron came out as a premium product yet still doing the same old thing. And then other tequila distilleries started going like, wait a second, like this is bullshit. We need to like honor this and do it right and show and teach everyone how we drink it and how we want to enjoy it. And so now we're kind of starting to see tequila bars open up. We're seeing, places try to stay away from the salt and lime. And I mean, you go to a bar and someone says, "Oh, can I have salt and lime?" It usually gets rung up on our point of sale as training wheels
Mm.
to give you a good understanding of like how we all do it. It's like, oh yeah, cool. You don't know tequila that well yet. Got it. Here's your training wheels.
So if I go into a bar and I just order a margarita, what am I going to get?
You're gonna get, I mean, a good cocktail. Most margaritas are made with Blanco tequila, so fairly unaged. It's a little more raw than agave flavor. Sometimes they'll make it with a reposado, and reposados, in my opinion, like I don't want to start Richard on reposado because he's gonna have a full blown meltdown. But now, like I hope later in a date we can get to a reposado because to me the reposado is perfect in the middle. It's just got enough of the raw tequila flavor, but then also like a kiss of the oak, and it's just right down the middle. It's everything you want. Once in a while, you'll see places use that as their base.
Yep.
for margarita.
My wife's a huge tequila drinker, so yeah, hers is the Don Julio's, or not bad. I mean, I can smell it from a distance. I'm like, oh, yeah, tequila.
Tequila. There's a world of just like ultra premium tequila that has like no like you think about the Don Julios, you think about the Patrons, you think about like Casamigos, all these like premium tequilas that just have a lot of money behind them. There's a whole world of ultra amazing tequilas that have like no money behind them, but they're so much more amazing than the big ones.
Do you think that's one of the?
What's up?
Do you think that's one of that's the next emerging thing? I mean, right now it's all about whiskey and rye, but do you think tequila's next again?
I think tequila and mezcal are like definitely on the up and up right now.
How much is that due to like the celebrity, tequilas? Your George Clooney's.
I don't know. I mean, I definitely think it's influence there, but I find it like celebrities have been in the liquor game for a long time now. Whatever reason, we're just talking about George Clooney first or more now, and like how much that sold for. But
and how involved was he in that?
Barely at all.
Yeah, somebody presented him 5 different ones, and he's like, "I like that one. Put my name on it."
No, not quite, but similar, yeah. So the story goes is he went down to Fortaleza and he was like, "Hey," because him and Guillermo go back. Guillermo, for whatever reason, just knows everybody from everywhere, and so they called Guillermo up to, I think it was George Clooney's house, and Guillermo drove up from Mexico up to his house in California. I was like, "What's up? What do you want to talk about?" I'm like, "Well, we want to sell your tequila. We want to have our own brand." And Guillermo was like, "You could have just given me a phone call and saved me a trip," because the answer is no. I only make my own tequila, and love you, but piss off. And every year somebody approaches Guillermo to try and buy him out. To the point now he has a tattooed on his arm saying "not for sale." But they then, I think, started just going to other distilleries and trying it until they found what they liked. And then the story, whether it's true or not, goes that George Clooney just loves tequila, him and his friends. And so they wanted tequila to party with. And they just went down there like, "Can you bottle our own tequila?" And the distillery was like, "Yeah, sure, we can do that." And then they started going through so much of it that basically the lawyers of the distillery were like, "Hey, you said this was for private use. Like, you can't sell this." And they're like, "We're not selling it. Have you ever been to a George Clooney party?" And the guy's like, you're going through too much. Like, you have to create a brand, and you have to like license it and tax it and all these things. And the lawyer called George Clooney like, "Should we do this?" And he's like, "Sure, fuck it. I just want to have it at my parties. Just get the cheapest bottle, the dumbest label ever, and like call it a day." And then that story supposedly got out, and it just took off from there. So that's the story that went around in the bars. Because I guess, when you're George Clooney, you have epic parties that involve cases on cases on cases on cases of tequila.
He has these group of friends, of 4 of them, that have been around since they were basically out of work actors. And they've like been tight this entire time. And, he blew up and they've reaped the rewards.
Literal modern day Entourage story.
Yeah, pay attention to all the friends of adventures and drinking. We're next. You know what? I really like but I want to get back to this. I would really, really wanted to bag on this and say let's never do it again, but it's good. You know, I always give people crap for not trying scotch and other stuff, but so I try to venture out. This is good. You know what I mean? It wouldn't be my first grab. Whiskey will always be, but I don't think I would turn down this.
Ultra tequila is a love of mine. Like I didn't really love it that much a couple years ago, but getting into it now, I have found an appreciation for it. Like rum and tequila are two of just my absolute favorites.
Where are you putting this, Chad?
If I had a bottle, it would be let's hang out and drink it. You know, but it's not something I'd like keep and repeat by, if that makes sense. It's not something I'd hold on to.
Yeah.
There you
go. I drink it and have people over and drink it. But then once I was out, I was out. That was, that was a good run.
Yeah, that was a good buy. That was a good experience.
Yeah, I would say it wasn't like, now price, knowing the price off obviously changes this, but it'd be like, if I wouldn't buy this at that price. But let's say if I bought it, if it was in my range and I bought it, I'd be like, okay, I bought it. It was good. I probably wouldn't buy it again, but I'm glad that I had it.
Yeah.
If I was on a vacation and I was down and hey, you're down, you got a house in Mexico for like a weekend or whatever, I would splurge and buy this 100%. You know what I mean? And sit there on the beach and drink this. Yeah.
Yeah. If you're doing, on the beach, almost a Mexican, not themed, but feel to your vacation. Pick it up.
How much? How is the tequila way cheaper down there?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Embarrassing. So, my fiance and I went down there. We went down there with two things of luggage that we had to check, and we came back with three, so we could bring more bottles back. And yeah, because it was worth it.
And correct if I'm mistaken, but you can fly with 7 or 5 750 milliliters under.
I think it's under.
8. I think it's 8.
I think it's 8. I forget. Except for like one. No one cares, and the reality is, I think we've talked about it before, but like the paperwork costs them more trouble than like. So here's the big reality is like there is no limit. You can bring as many bottles as you want. You just then have to file like taxes on them or whatever. Like you have to like claim them, which is just an extra piece of paper that you can fill out and do it with. And that paperwork costs them more than anything else to file and whatnot. So if they hassle you, just like, I'll fill out the paperwork and I'll pay the money. And then usually they start to backtrack real quick. You're like, well, just don't do it again unless you go through, I think it's Denver. There's one airport that just like they will not have it. And there's a specific law to that state that says like no. And I forget which airport it is, but like it's either like Houston or Denver or something.
And that's if you're bringing it through. Well, I guess once you hit customs, you're taking everything with you through customs, aren't you? Yeah. So it's not a carry-on versus.
You can't carry on alcohol. It's too high a fluid and alcohol content.
Yep.
And if you fly Spirit Airlines, do not open your own.
Oh, really?
No, it's a $500. They'll charge you $500 or something like that.
Really?
Yeah, you're not allowed to.
I might just never fly again. I was hearing how this one guy was not putting on his mask and he got kicked off of an airline forever.
Yeah, permanent ban. They don't play around with that stuff.
I'm like, wow, we bars need to take up this kind of extremism.
So let's dive into that real quick. It's how are you as a bar owner handling COVID, opening, closing, mask, not mask, vaccinated, not vaccinated?
Oh boy, it's every day is just a new adventure, and it's, I mean, it'd be fun and kind of exciting, I feel like, if it wasn't your business and your, money involved in it. But it's just every, like, closing down, opening up. We've had a very large patio, so we've never really opened up on the inside. We've always just kept it outside, and that's allowed us to skate by way better than if we were indoor dining, because they've closed the indoor dining far more than they've closed outside dining.
Yeah.
But
Is your trouble more of the customers be like, hey, I'm vaccinated, I don't need to wear a mask?
so that just came up, and our immediate response was, well, there's no way to check on this, so we're just going to require masks no matter what. And then lo and behold, I talked to Richard, and the guy sends me an awesome clip. And I guess we all think that HIPAA is this thing that, like, you just can't ask about private information, when it's actually more just doctors can't give out private information. It has nothing to do with asking.
Hmm.
And so we kind of all realize you totally can ask if you're vaccinated, and you totally can ask for a card. And if it's their right to say, no, I don't have, I'm not going to show you that. And then it's my right to say, well, too bad, you don't get in then, or you can wear a mask.
Have you had any blowback? Any?
We haven't implemented it yet. I don't think we're going to for a little bit. I heard Dr. Fauci came out and said they were going to release some new guidelines soon. And so we kind of all looked at it and was like, let's just wait. No one's really given us any problems, in the sense that I feel like everyone who is vaccinated kind of gets it and understands that they're just like, whatever, I don't care. Like,
But
anyone
once somebody's at their seat, they can have their mask off, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's literally just walking from the door to their chair,
or when they go to the restaurant or whatever. Yeah. So, I mean, right now, most of the team is either fully vaccinated or halfway there. So within another 3-4 weeks, we will be very, very happy in that we're all safe.
So, and Oregon's a little different. I think Oregon has one of the higher vaccination rates, if I'm not mistaken.
I mean, they say the overall America's average right now is 47%.
It's pretty good.
I mean, how long has the vaccine been out and been given to us? Like,
It's December.
Yeah, so I mean, we're doing pretty good.
At the beginning though, it took forever for it to get to general population. But
yeah. And I'm just nervous that once everybody gets vaccinated, all the bars will open back up again, and then I can't get my whiskey.
I mean, I don't think you have to worry about that, dude. Right now, the number one issue that I think bars and restaurants have right now is staff. There is no shortage of customers. There really isn't. I mean, 10 years ago, I've been like, just hallelujah, like, this is amazing. Now it's staff. I mean, before COVID, getting a good like cook in was hard. Now getting anybody in is damn near impossible.
Why do you think that is?
I think a lot of it is just restaurant workers don't get paid that much. I mean, and tips are everything for the servers and stuff, but the cooks, I mean, they sit on an average line temperature is 110 degrees Fahrenheit. You think about, grill top on constantly. You think about a deep fat fryer there. You think about ovens on constantly. Like, it's a hot ass place to work. And you're going to do that for a 10-hour shift. That's a rough life. And you're going to get paid maybe 16.
Maybe 16, you said?
$16, $17. Now it's gone up to basically like 18 if you want to, and tips. But of course, now is gone is the day that, servers were the ones that walked away with $400 in tips. Now they have to share those tips with everyone else because no one else wants to do the work, the hard work. And everyone's arguing now, like, well, hey, you can't sell food and give a good experience if you don't have a cook or a bartender back there doing their job well. So split it up. And I mean, that's the reality, is a restaurant has to work cohesively as one big, huge system. Can't just be, well, servers are the most important, or cooks are the most important, or busboys.
Does that apply to the bar if you're just doing drinks only and you're not serving food?
In Oregon, we have to serve food by law. So you have to have a cook. But at the same time, it just depends on the kind of the style of bar.
If people are coming in, let's say you get guys sitting at the bar and all he's doing is drinking. He's not buying any food. Are you still splitting tips with the cook?
'Cause, I mean, how are you differentiating those things?
Right.
Now, depending on the restaurant, you might have a different way of splitting it up. You might split like, oh, I'm going to give away a certain percentage of my food sales. Say I sold $1,000 in food, I'm going to give away, 10% or 15% of food sales. And then you take that 15% and multiply it by your tips. Or you buy your food sales and then that gets pulled out of your tips. Same goes for bar. Like the servers will say like, oh, I'll tip the bar out by percentage of drinks I sold. You can do that. A lot of places will have like point systems. So have a hierarchy. Bartenders will be like 2 points, servers will be like 1.5, bar backs will be 1, kitchen will be like 1, and then the tips get broken up that way. Problem with that is you have then a constant need to grow and go up, but usually the people that are at the top don't want to move very often, so they're usually at some point in time you run into, well, there's nowhere to grow into it. And so then you never have good support staff. You always just have good bartenders or good cooks or whatever.
Yeah, how are you noticing? I mean, when people are coming out now, are they getting more drinks than they used to? Are they like, being more social?
They're drinking way less. Health conscious is definitely a new trend. I mean, it's been a trend for a long time, but it's definitely something that I'm noticing a lot more. People
aren't getting drunk.
People are living in moderation now. They'll come out, they'll get, some food, they'll get a couple drinks, but you're not seeing the same level of just like, I'm here to like enjoy myself and drink and go nuts. So
do you think that also has to do with the fact that people aren't taking Ubers as much and Lyft much?
I don't know. I think it just has to do with people are not coming out as often. You think back when, I don't know, 90s or whatever, people didn't go out to restaurants every day. Going out to like bougie, cool, fun, up and coming restaurants wasn't a thing until Anthony Bourdain came on the scene and made it cool. Before then, it's something you did on the weekend.
Yeah.
As like a special treat. And so definitely, I think people are kind of going back to that. They might go out and support their local restaurant and get some food, but they're not going out and like full going, like, let's get a meal, let's drink, let's get a bottle of wine, I don't see that right now, at least in Oregon or at our spot.
But your guys' business doing okay?
Back there, but it's definitely more of a family situation than it was like an adult situation.
You guys are holding on okay?
We're doing good, I think. We're slowly starting to kind of staff up and realize how much work it is on top of everything else. So we're trying to have more team members on the floor at one given time. It's splitting tips a little bit more, but it's making everyone's life a little bit better and easier. And I think in today's world, trying to do the best for your staff is number one.
I mean, that's how you're going to keep people. Treat people nice, they're going to want to stay.
Well, you think about it, if there is no restaurant employees, because most of them are leaving because it's an unstable career right now. If you gotta be doing something really good, buy them, or else they're just not going to stick around. And I think
so. Is that the key that is hard to staff right now? Is because they don't know if their job is going to be there tomorrow because of opening and closing? Is that why it's so hard to staff them?
I think so. I mean, I think a lot of people just realize, like, before this, you could get a restaurant job and you could earn $200-300 a day. You could become a bartender at a club or whatever, and you could earn a ton of money. You could work 3 days a week and earn more money than, bankers. A restaurant career was an awesome career. You worked maybe 30 to 40 hours a week and you made 60 to 80K a year. It was a great gig. But all of a sudden, when your gig is constantly being shut down, or your sales are bad, or you just don't have the same connection with the guests that you used to, a lot of people I think are just leaving and being like, I'm done. I'm gonna go figure out a career that I can do that's more resilient than this.
Would you recommend getting into the business?
Right now, no. I think there's gonna be a mass exodus right now, in the sense that, like, you're going to see, I think, even more restaurants close soon because they're going to get back into the swing of things. They're like, sweet, let's staff up, let's do this thing. And then there just won't be any staff out there. And so they'll start to close down or give bad service or whatnot just because of the lack of staff. But the best places, the places that do really awesome stuff, will be the ones that hold on to their team or, grab more. Because the reality is there's tons of people that this is their career. There's great bartenders out there. There's great cooks. There's great servers. There's great everybody. But they're going to go where they feel appreciated. And they're going to go where they can they can give a shit.
And Portland's pretty well known for their food scene. Do you think it's going to survive this?
I do. I don't think that we can ever not, because the Portland food scene didn't come out because of government or tax breaks or anything silly like that. It came because we had the best agriculture in the world. So I mean, we have like a mycelium network that stretches from Northern California to Southern Washington, and we now know that nutrients for plants are transported along that network. And there's a symbiotic relationship between mushrooms and plants. And so a plant will be like, hey, I want to give you oxygen and some, plant matter if you'll give me the nutrients over in like, Southern Washington and transport to me in Eastern Oregon here. And so we have the largest mycelium network in the entire world. So you just have a bunch of farmers who are doing crazy cool stuff that can't be grown anywhere else in the world here. And we have such a diverse kind of just terroir, a landscape. I mean, we're the only place in the world outside of Japan that has true wasabi, because someone smuggled it here and we just happen to have the same kind of stream bed that it will work in. I mean, we have wine grapes, just like in France. We have wheat fields. We have, tons of different, apples and stone fruits and stuff like that. We have nuts. I mean, it's a pretty awesome agricultural land up here. And so you see restaurants just popping up because they have access to so much. They have great fishing. They have great beef and pig and whatnot. Just you name it, we have a source for it here.
Heck yeah. Where's your go-to tequila spot in Portland?
It used to be Matador.
Yeah.
Matador up on 23rd. They had half off top shelf on Tuesdays. Man, you could plow your way through some pretty awesome tequila for some pretty cheap prices. Now, I don't know. My bar. We have a pretty decent selection right now.
Is Matador still open or did it close down?
I think it's still open. I just think they took away the half off Tuesday.
There you go. Now, is Oregon still doing, or did they ever pass cocktails to go?
They finally did, but it has to be served with food.
Oh, okay. So you have to order a food order to get your so French fry orders.
I mean, there's that too. It had to be a substantial food item, so it wasn't just French fries. It had to be like something more than that.
Oh, really?
The only place like no one's doing it right now. We're doing it, but we're doing it from being open. So the idea is almost like, how easy is it for a server to walk up for you and be like, hey, did you have a great meal? Oh man, oh yeah, it was great. I'm a little full right now. Would you like to take your dessert to go? Yeah, I'll take my dessert to go. Same idea with cocktails to go. Like, hey guys, you had to enjoy your cocktails tonight? How was everything? Oh, it was fantastic. That margarita was so good. Would you like to take one for home? Yeah, sure. Why not? And so you can kind of you've already sold them food. So you can kind of make that one last sale on top of it and up your ticket average.
Oh, heck yeah.
So that's kind of the way that we played it is, well, it's all in the same bill. They've already gotten food. We passed that requirement. All right, here you go. Have a cocktail.
Hell yeah.
But,
well, thank you for turning us on to some tequila. I'll definitely drink this one again.
Yeah, I'll finish this and get a good couple hours sleep.
Somebody's got to get up bright and early and go to work.
Oh boy. Well, guys, thank you for joining us for tequila and rants on restaurants and going into the world of post-COVID, not having to wear masks someday, hopefully.
Heck yeah.
cheers. You can find me on Instagram at conscious_bartender.
I'm Whiskey Greenhorn on Instagram.
I'm Northwest Whiskey Man on Instagram.
The real question is how much longer are you a greenhorn? We'll answer
Yeah,
that.
I think we need to change it up. Yeah.
Okay, we're almost there. See you guys all next week.
Have a good one, man.